If you write young adult fiction and you haven't seen these shows I'm about to tell you about, you need to get on it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, I'm Laura and I write young adult fiction. So in today's video, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we should do as writers, especially writers for young people. We all know that it's really important when we're writing to do a lot of research, and that includes reading a lot of other young adult books. So if you write contemporaries, you should be reading contemporaries. If you write paranormal, you should be reading them. But we also should be doing other things, and that I think includes watching young adult film and young adult television to get a good understanding of the kinds of stories that teens like and the kinds of representation that we can get. And so while there are a lot out there to choose from, and I think especially here in the US, the teen shows are not always, one, played by teens, or two, really geared toward teens, and three, they don't really represent what it's like to be a teen in the US. I have 5 shows that I think all young adult writers should watch because I feel like they represent things that are important and things that we should be trying to do ourselves in our writing. Now, out of these 5 shows, only one of them is actually American, and again, because it's American, characters are played by adults, but it does have enough going for it that I felt like I could include it in this video, but then the rest are all shows from other countries, but I will tell you how you can access them if you haven't seen them and you want to watch them. So let's get started talking about the 5 teen shows that all young adult writers should watch. Number 1 is the American show, and that is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, a lot of you, I'm sure, have probably watched this. I was one of those people who totally missed the boat. Literally all my friends watched it in high school, but I was like, I don't like to do things that everyone else is doing, so I'm not gonna watch it. And that was a huge mistake. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is such a good show. I'm finally watching it now, and it is really, really amazing. It's super interesting, and I think that it is so fruitful for those of us that write young adult because it does so many things well. First of all, it incorporates the paranormal, and it has a little bit of a campiness, but there's still a lot of seriousness to it. And it fully sort of intertwines it with the high school life. They don't forget about their high school. They don't forget about their expectations as a teen. And I think that it balances it well, and sometimes it doesn't, but it's on purpose and trying to be funny. But I think it really balances that well. So for those of us who want to incorporate, you know, paranormal into our books or do some sort of contemporary fantasy or things like that, this is a really good show to see how to do that balance. I also think it has great dialogue. Is it always 100% believable? No, but it's super funny, and the banter between the characters, the one-liners, and it really does represent a lot of what it was like in the 90s. I mean, how many times can they say wigged out in an episode, you know? But I just really think it does an awesome job of representing sort of a teen life in this unrealistic world. It also shows that struggle of being a sort of chosen one, but also being a person and having a life and being a teen. And then the best thing about Buffy is there's so much angst. And that's what I love about young adult fiction and young adult film and television shows, is the angst. And that's what we all should be including in our books, because what teen isn't angsty? And there's so much angst in Buffy that it just fills my creative well when I watch it, because I just think it's done so well. So I highly recommend that you watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you can watch that on Hulu. Okay, so the second show I'm going to recommend is British, and it can also be found on Hulu, and that is My Mad Fat Diaries. This show, you guys, perfection, okay? It especially is really good at representing a realistic teen, one who is struggling with A, mental illness, and B, being overweight. So all of the characters, I feel like, are representing really kind of true aspects of what it's like to be teen. There's a sort of over-sexualized friend that's a girl because she develops early and she's pretty and she doesn't feel like she has much else to offer. She's not funny, she's not smart. She kind of falls into that territory of being a little promiscuous, and I think that that is something that's really well represented. But I really love the show because it truly and honestly encapsulates what it actually feels like to be a teen who's struggling with their weight and with their mental illness. And it really shows a lot about your struggles with trying to get better, and then having all of the other things that go along with being a teen all around you, having a parent who doesn't understand, and then of course having body issues and not feeling comfortable in your own bodies. So if you want to write these kind of well-developed characters that are really struggling with these realistic things, then this show is amazing for that. All right, the third show I'm gonna recommend is also British, but you can find it on Netflix, and that show is Skins. So not the American version of Skins, that was terrible. The British version of Skins is one of the most emotional, crazy shows you will ever see. It depicts the kind of teen that I feel like we don't see enough of in young adult texts. A lot of times, how can I say this nicely? A lot of times the characters in young adult are sort of Mary Sue's, or they're very traditional, maybe quiet, shy, conventional, upper middle class homes. That is not the characters in Skins. You have people from broken homes, you have troubled upbringings, you have people who are struggling with drug addiction and all kinds of issues, teen pregnancy, drinking, all of these things. And it's not the goody two-shoe kids, it's the kids that are really struggling between their issues at home or their issues in their personal life and still being a teen. And it's wild, guys. It's wild and it's a little crazy, but I feel like we need more of these kind of characters because we all went to school with those kids. And one of the things that was really hard for me when I was a teen is that I wasn't one of those typical girls. I was poor, I was into heavy metal and alternative music, I had piercings, and I loved to read, and I was also plus size, and I was struggling with mental illness, and I didn't feel like I was ever reading books that represented that. I just feel like we need more diversity in our main characters, and we need to explore more of these topics and the reality of what it's like to be a teen. There are teens that drink, there are teens that smoke and go to parties and get into trouble. I just feel like Skins really shows us and really sees these characters beyond being flat, one-dimensional characters. Also, Skins is great for diversity. It especially has a lot of characters that come from different socioeconomic groups, different races, and different genders and sexualities. So I think that this is a great show for that. Now, my fourth show is also on Netflix, but this one is from Australia, and this one's called Dance Academy. Dance Academy is so good, you guys, especially if you love anything about dancing, ballet, just, you know, trying to be a professional when you're still a teen. It's so good for that. It's basically about these teens who all want to be professional dancers, and so they go away to a sort of like a boarding school in Sydney to become professional ballet dancers while also going to high school. I know that a lot of us like to write these kinds of characters, these characters that have something that they're trying to strive for, whether it be a sport or dance, or maybe they're really into this one thing. And a lot of us really like to explore teens that are working towards their career goals at the same time as being in high school. And I think this is a great, fantastic show that demonstrates the struggles of that and the balancing between going for your dreams but also dealing with what it's like to be a teen in high school and all the drama that comes with that. And it also brings up a lot of parental issues, having parental expectations and parents that are not around because they're all at boarding school. So a lot of these issues they have to deal with without parental guidance. And let's face it, a lot of us write books where the parents aren't that involved. So I think this show is really good for demonstrating how these teens work through and manage without some adults really helping them out, and how hard it really can be to go for your dreams, but also try to stay normal. And there's a lot about body issues and trying to live up to expectations and things like that as well. And now the fifth show, it's a little bit harder to watch. You can find some episodes on Netflix, the newer ones, some on Amazon Prime, some sometimes still get rerun on TV, and some you just have to kind of find somewhere. But my fifth one is a Canadian show, and that is Degrassi. Degrassi is the king of kings of teen shows. It is the most accurate in terms of actual kids playing the characters. I mean, they started out with Emma and Manny and JT being 12, and they were played by 12-year-olds. It really, all of the issues are so spot on what it actually is like to be a teen. I mean, they have episodes about feeling like your penis isn't bigger than the other guys, or a more recent episode of a girl who felt like her butt wasn't as big as everybody else's. But it also deals with really hard things. Teen pregnancy, they have an adoption story, they have a teen mother story, they have an abortion story. I mean, anything, because the show spanned over 10 years, and it even included an old show from the 80s, but I'm talking about the reboot that happened in, I think, the late 90s, early 2000s, and it just ended. Because there's so many and you get so many new characters, which Skins also does, you get new characters every 2 years, because it's kind of showing this, it's more about like the focus of those years of teenagehood. You just get so many storylines. It is just full of things that you can use for inspiration or to think about, and it's so full of diversity. I mean, Canadian television is so diverse. It has people of different races, socioeconomic, culture, gender, sexuality. They have trans characters, they have bi characters, they have gay characters, they have non-binary characters, they have ace characters. I mean, anything that you can think of. Degrassi has covered it, I promise. They also have crazy, outlandish storylines. They do school shootings, they do gang violence, but then they also have more subtle storylines, you know, getting into good colleges, how to have a boyfriend, date rape, how to feel pressured into being sexually active before you're ready. I mean, literally anything you can think of, Degrassi has covered it. It is the best teen show, and it really has its finger on the pulse of what it's like to be a teen. A lot of us can't remember or don't understand, but it stays with the times. It keeps up with the technology. They had their own version of Snapchat where girls were sending nudes for money. I mean, you name it, they've done it, guys. So if you are looking for inspiration or new storylines, or just kind of working to develop a character or need some other character ideas, I'm telling you, find some episodes of Degrassi to watch, because it will fill your well way over. Okay guys, well those are the 5 shows that I think all young adult writers should watch, and most of you probably haven't, but have some of you watched these shows? If you've watched any of these, comment down below, let me know which ones you have seen and what you thought of them, and if you think there are any shows to add to this list, comment that down below too, because I'm always looking for a good new teen show to watch. Alright guys, well I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. I post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and thanks so much for watching guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!